Mm-hmm.
And I opened the door, and what I saw, my jaws felt
butt naked
to the ground. Can you mind telling the audience, what did I walk into?
Well, let's just say it was not necessarily doggy style, but it was getting to there. Yeah,
With who?
With a young lady. I'm like,
she was your wedding planner.
Yeah. I mean, those are the easier ones. I mean, they're always too busy. They're never they're never really too much into a relationship unless they're married. And after they get married, I mean, but majority of wedding planners, if they're single, they're flying around.
I want to thank you guys for being patient with me. I've been working on something very, very interesting. That's the word, interesting. I have a special guest in the show this evening that has, we have some history. We got history. We met, introduce yourself. Don't say your real name. we have to have him kind of blurred out right now because we want to protect the innocent or the guilty. We want to protect the name and the identities of those involved in today's episode. I'll paint the picture. We met maybe 2011 after I was laid off as an architect. I had an online radio show before many of you guys knew who I was. And he was one of my guests who had very controversial views as it relates to relationships and such. Do you remember that show?
Yes, sir. I remember.
Well, tell me, what do you remember about that show?
I just remember that it was I think it was the audience kind of understood where we were coming from, understood that it was unique. It was that we were not trying to play a character, and they understood that stories. They kind of related to it. They understood in a way that that we were trying to expose our souls to a certain extent. And I just remember it was good. It dealt good with an issue that a lot of people always have back of their mind. Always have an issue. An issue that individuals sometimes wake up at night, I'm pretty sure, and say, "Is it really happening to me? Is it not happening to me?" And I think that it was good overall.
Okay, I like to be kind of vague though. Hold on, make sure the mic this way, no, straight into it. Perfect.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, good deal. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So after we had that conversation on the online radio show, you got engaged maybe a couple years later.
Yes, sir.
I remember you reached out to me, and I was like, "Say what? You about to marry somebody?"
Yeah.
And I really couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I've always lived by the thing, why buy the cow when you get the milk for free. And so when that happened, I mean, it was also something that I was flabbergasted. I didn't know what I was doing. I think I just flew into it. I mean, so yeah, I do recall.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I remember when you reached out to me to shoot your wedding. I was like, this has to be a joke because that interview we had a couple years prior, I was like, there's no way on this earth this man's ever getting married. Because like you said,
yeah. Free milk.
Free milk.
Yeah, I mean.
All right. So now let's talk about, let's before we jump into like the real story, how long did you and for one, are you still married?
Yeah, I'm still married.
Okay. How long did you guys date before you got married?
3 months. It wasn't too long, but it was officially 3 months. But we always kept an ongoing communication, either social media or some other format. But officially, it was around 3 months when we decided, and it just hit me out of the blue. That, I mean, she threw it at me, and I was like, all right, I like what I feel, I like what I see, and she had what I really wanted and what I really needed, and you know what it is.
So you say you dated for 3 months before you got married to her?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I remember the wedding was a destination wedding, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to draw the audience into the story first, but I don't want to give too much yet. Let's see. You got married, and then I think we reconnected. I'm going to skip part of the story for now, but we reconnected at a wedding earlier this year. You were a groomsman in a wedding.
Yeah.
What were you feeling when you saw me come in the room? Because we hadn't seen each other since your wedding several years ago.
Whoa, I knew I had to at least hide what I was doing, at least trying to find a way to camo my intentions.
No, I'm saying when we reconnect at a wedding that you were a groomsman in.
Yeah.
When you saw me walk in the room, you and all the guys, because I was like, I know that face.
No, exactly, and it's because when I'm at a location, I always try to play not necessarily a different character, but I try to keep my story very, very, very lean. When I come in, I make sure the people, I know more about people than what they know about me. But when I saw you, I knew you already knew who I was. And so like my game plan was already over. So I had to make sure I was on my tiptoes from the beginning. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's how the game plays, you know what I mean? And I knew you saw me and I was like, oh. So yeah, I had to make sure. There's a lot of things you didn't know what happened there, but we'll get to that one.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to it. Because when I saw you in the groom suite, I was like, wait, this is one of my old clients.
Yes, sir.
And I was like, oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's get into the real story.
Mm-hmm.
At the wedding was in Mexico,
Yes, sir.
Cancun.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was going great. I was glad to reconnect with you because, again, when you got engaged to her, you reached out to me, you know, flew me to Mexico, and wedding day was great. There was no rain, nothing. The ceremony went by with no issues, but the reception happened, and I remember seeing you drinking at least 3 drinks I saw. That's at least what I saw for myself.
Yes, sir.
How many drinks did you consume that evening before the main thing happened?
Well, to be quite honest, I'm not a big drinker. I make sure the other individual drinks more than I do. I mean, I act like I'm drinking. I'm just sipping. I mean, but before we get to that subject, could I kind of include a little bit of where I'm coming from? Why?
Go ahead.
I do things or what I do. So first of all, majority of times when we grow up, you know, I mean, we're playing with toys, right? 7, 10 years old. At 7, I was already a threesome. I already had a threesome, and this for real. I still remember I was 7, came from Mexico, got here. Literally 2 girls at 7. You know what I mean? So at age 7, I already knew exactly what the female body felt like. You know what I mean? I really knew what a woman wanted. I already knew not necessarily what she was thinking, but I already had the intuition that when she was with a guy or chilling with a guy or had a friend or a best friend, that individual was like more like whenever she's ready, I was already ready. So I already had that mentality from the beginning. So when 10, 20 years from now, I mean, after that, where I'm at right now, the word sex or orgy or any type of a subject matter has to do anything with sexuality, to me is like breathing air. Yeah, I mean, for real. It's so women to me, I feel like she needs it, and I'm that kind of individual that gives it to her. Yeah, I mean, she's always looking for a little excitement, and I give her that excitement. So again, it wasn't I didn't choose this life; it chose me. Yeah, I mean, again, nobody's gonna get up when you're age 7 instead of playing with little Transformers. Next thing you know, you're playing over here with titties. You know what I mean? So yeah.
All right, I feel like I'm looking for hidden cameras because. All right, wasn't expecting that, but here we are today. All right, so back to the story. I remember I saw with at least 3 different drinks. But again, it's your wedding reception. Everyone's dancing. It was outside. Everyone's having an amazing time. You know, I didn't notice you were missing, but your then wife, I remember her called me over and said, hey, can you go to the room and get this thing for me? She gave me the key. And I got the key. I went to the room and I opened the door. And what I saw, my jaws felt
butt naked
to the ground. Can you mind telling the audience, what did I walk into?
Well, let's just say it was not necessarily doggy style, but it was getting to there. Yeah,
With who?
With a young lady. I'm like,
She was your wedding planner.
yeah. I mean, those are the easier ones. Yeah, I mean, they're always too busy. They're never they're never really too much into a relationship unless they're married. And after they get married, I mean, but majority of wedding planners, if they're single, they're flying around, right? So they don't have a lot of ties. I mean, they don't have a lot of ties. So when I know it's a wedding planner, if I see interest, then it's a go. I mean, so yeah,
All right. Hold on.
yeah. It's
I
not
want to
just
call. I want to call cap on this.
Yeah.
But I was there.
yeah,
I was there.
yeah.
I remember walking in, and you were with her, and I was like, "Wait, this can't be the same. This can't be you."
Yeah.
And you saw me. She didn't see me,
Yeah.
and you didn't stop at all.
Yes, sir.
And I remember just
More
grabbing what.
merrier, man.
I remember just grabbing what your wife asked me to grab, and I walked
Sir.
out.
Yes, sir.
How long did you know the plan before you even hired her? Did you know her before?
No, I had talked a little bit, you know what I mean, just on the subject here and there, but not necessarily like a straight combo. It wasn't necessarily like a deep conversation. But again, you when you get three, I mean, you're working with a PUA, I mean, pickup artist. And so when you get three signs, and she gave me those three signs, I knew it was a go. Yeah, I mean, simple as that.
What was those three signs? I'm sure everybody want to know. What are those three signs?
Well, first of all, when she laughs a stupid joke, you know what I mean? Like, the stupidest joke I could come up with would be like, why did the car stop? And then you say, because it got tired. You know what I mean? And if she laughs and giggles, you know that's game one. If she touches her hair, that's game two, right? If she licks your lip, it could be a game three. If you notice she's moving a little bit around, that's number four. When you get all these signals, majority of guys, when they're not in this matter, when they're not in this subject, they don't pick up those things. But when I notice, and it's more like a chain reaction. When I notice the first one, I go for the second quickly. I don't wait for another 30 minutes or whatever. I go straight to the point. I make sure that she touches her hair. One thing easily to do is if you can get her hand real close to her face, real close. You don't necessarily have to touch it, but if you can really touch her face a little bit, she's done, man. She's literally done. I mean, it's just a matter of time when you just get a little bit of time with her. Simple as that.
All right. What I would like to know, because I'm trying to kind of vision myself there as a groom on your wedding day, because people know at destination weddings, things can go down, things can happen on wedding day. I've seen some things that I will not discuss unless they agree to come on talk about it, like you agreed to talk about it now. Let me ask you this, because when we met at the wedding early this year, we kind of reconnected, and I asked you about, I told you I have a YouTube channel, and I kind of share interesting stories that happen as a photographer. That could be a wedding day, a portrait session, whatever the case may be. And I said, I wanted to kind of talk about your story if you're open to it. You said, absolutely. Why were you open to having a conversation about this?
I think it's the subject matter has been touched in the past, but just briefly. I think I just needed to express what's in my mind. Sometimes that's what a man, any individual needs. You know what I mean? Somebody to listen to. Just because you see somebody like me on the streets or doing what we do, we don't necessarily have a lot of time for friends. I mean, we're in our game. We're in our hustle. And not necessarily just, doing the dirty, but I mean, hustling. I mean, making sure you look good, make sure you got the right watch, making sure you have the right car. Everything has to be, so just because you see a successful individual, that he doesn't have a lot of friends. Okay. I mean, a successful individual is always in his room, always at the office, exactly like what I do. You know what I mean? So when you brought that up, I was like, okay, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time for not, again, my story could be a little bit unique, but it's not super unique because a lot of people do the same thing, but they're just scared. They're little bitches. You know what I mean?
All right.
Yeah.
Another question that I would like to know, because I'm sure everybody's watching this would like to know, does your wife know about this event that took place?
Why would she? I mean, if it doesn't hurt her, I mean, we have in Spanish, lo que no sabe no te duele, no. What she doesn't know, it doesn't hurt her. Simple as that. I mean, in my tombstone, before I die, I'll tell her, you know what I mean? Oops. I mean, but not right now. Right now.
There's something important that,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of mentioned it to me, but you weren't all the way forthcoming.
Mm-hmm.
The night that happened, because I remember maybe a year later, the planner
Mm-hmm.
had a baby